My name is Jennifer Hayes, and this is for Meet the Ocean Encounters. I'm going to share what I had as an incredible experience in the Gulf of St. Lawrence, which is in Quebec, Canada, near Magdalen Islands, or Isle de Madeleine. And this is an island in the center of the Gulf of St. Lawrence where in the wintertime sea ice forms and large populations of harp seals enter the Gulf, females first, and they get up on this ice platform on the sea ice and they birth their pups. And the pups are born in late February. And it's an incredible spectacle. It's an incredible pulse of life. There'll be thousands and thousands and thousands of seals in the Gulf of St. Lawrence on the sea ice giving birth to whitecoats. They're called whitecoats because they're pure, white, fluffy, living cotton balls. They're the cutest creature on the planet with a charcoal nose and big black eyes, and they're irresistible, and they have a human cry. And we were working there on assignment for National Geographic magazine, and we went up in a steel-hulled boat, and at night we would push into the ice, and the harp seal pups would be out on the ice calling for their moms, and their human cries would penetrate the hull of our ship, and they would penetrate our dreams, and the cries were human-like, and it was amazing. It was the most amazing place on the planet. So our goal was to document this population as a part of an entire story on the whole ecosystem of the Gulf. So we were looking at everything from harp seals to fisheries to crab to gray seals. You name it, we were covering it for the Gulf of St. Lawrence. And in this moment in February, we found a group of about 10,000 seals, and we pulled our boat right into it. And we were staying there night and day for 5 or 6 days. So we're literally living in the ice, walking out on the ice in survival suits, and diving in the ice with special gear, and going down and making photographs of the mother interactions with the pups and the coming and the going. And it became to be our last day. And we had this incredible set of images and this incredible story to tell for the magazine about life in the ice with the harp seals. And it was our last day. David found his pup, and so I left him and his pup, and I swam away, and I had on a dry suit and a snorkel and a weight belt and fins, mask and fins, and a giant camera, Seacam camera, and I find my seal. It's a seal pup, and he's looking for his mom, and he looks down at the water, and he sees me. And he says, "You're not my mom. You're an imposter." But Mom was behind me. She didn't like that very much, so she swam right around me in the water. She greeted her pup in a nose-to-nose kiss as he came into the water. And it was this kiss like, "Are you my mom? Are you my pup? Or are you an imposter?" And it was really cool because they do that on the ice, too. And it turns out they do it in water. And I was photographing this, and she led the pup away in the water to get away from the crazy lady with the camera. And I was the crazy lady with the camera. So politely, I swam a safe distance away from them. As she led the pup away, I was keeping parallel but away, and the pup was trying to swim to me. "Who is that lady with the camera? What is that thing?" And Mom wouldn't have any part of it. She actually physically held him back. And as time went on, she got used to me going alongside, and she dropped back a little. She dropped back a little more. Pup got a little closer to me, until he actually was at my elbow, and he was actually crawling up on my arm, and then he crawled up on my chest. I literally lay back in the water. And then I became a raft. I became a piece of ice. And he's on my chest. And I can barely hold him up. I'm floating, barely. But I was his island, and he was resting. He was literally resting on me. And then he rolled off, and he went back to his mom. His mom came up, and she checked him all over. And I'm watching this. She's embracing him. She's sniffing him from stem to toe. What did she do to you? Did she do anything to hurt you? I'm just shooting like a crazy person, watching this embrace in the water, when I felt a nip on my left ankle. And I looked down, and I felt a nip on my right ankle, and I see below me 20-ish male harp seals. And I think to myself, that might not be good. Not really sure what that means. Then I remembered our guide, Mario Sear, a couple days before, had a nip, and I yelled across the ice, "Why did you flinch, Mario?" He said, "I flinched the males. They just nip you to test you because you're with a female. They're just testing you." So I said, I'm not worried. I had that memory, and I said, I'm not. And then before I could even get that process through my mind, a male came right up over my back, and his body weight went right over. He literally slid over my head. His body weight took the mask off, and it was falling in front of me, and I duck dived to reach for it. He turned around. He's about 10, 15 feet below me, and he's looking at me, and mucus coming out of his nostrils, and he's blowing bubbles, and I'm getting my mask on. It's filled with water. I can't really see, but I do see a blur go by. I feel and I see a blur, and it's the mama seal. It's the mother seal that was with the pup that I was photographing. And this big flash goes by me, and she goes down. It's her. She goes down to the male, and she beats the crap out of him. And there's a tumble and a blur and a flipper and a fin and a ball of bubbles and then another flipper. And it's just this carousel. And the small pup comes to me, and we're shoulder to flipper together looking down at this ball of energy, this mom and this male fighting. And then the male swims off. And then the female kind of hovers, and she looks up, and she comes up slow, kind of like undulating, really slow, looking at us. And I think, I'm not sure what this means. I'm not sure if this is going to be good. She goes right to her pup. Right to her pup first, and they do the nose-to-nose kiss. Are you my mom? And then she checks him out again, sniffs him from snout to flipper, goes around and makes all these circles around him. And then she begins pushing him away through the water. She wants to get him away from those 20 males that are circling below us. Just get him out of the danger zone, because we're in a big open pond of water away from the ice at this point. She starts pushing him towards the edge of the ice, towards safety, and she's nudging him with her nose and her flipper, her whole body, and she's pushing him, and he's just kind of slowly swimming, because he's a little cork ball. He's basically this floating little guy who hasn't learned to swim yet. So she's pushing him along, and then she stops. And I'm watching them, and she swims back to me, and then she starts to nudge me. She puts her nose to my shoulder, and she starts pushing me. And she's using her body and her nose and her flipper, and I can't believe this is happening because, well, this doesn't happen. And she gets me alongside of the pup, the white coat, and she pushes on the pup and myself kind of at the same time. She's nudging us both along, and I see where she's going. Between two pieces of ice, there's an opening. It's called a lead, and that lead is only about the width of a normal doorway. And she's headed for there. She's going to take her pup down this lead, away from the males and to safety. And pieces of ice up there shift, and there's nothing you can do to hold them back. So you just don't want to be there. It's not a friendly place. So I get around the side of her, and I watch her and her pup disappear, and I'm really sad. I'm really cold. I really have to urinate. And all these things running through my mind. Did that whole episode just happen? And I go to the edge of the ice, and I'm holding my camera, so I reach up and I put it on the edge of the ice. I have to kind of use my fins to get it up. And then I reach down to undo my belt buckle for my weight belt, just as a male comes underneath that sheet of ice that is a few feet thick, like 2.5 feet thick, or maybe 18 inches, comes underneath that ice shelf, and he bites me, boom, square in the groin, and he lets go. And then he bites me, boom, square on the thigh, but he lets go. And then, before I knew it, even with my heavy weight belt on, I was standing on the ice. I'd never been able to do that in the history of Jennifer in my life. And it was like I never knew what happened. But two very good things didn't happen that day. One, he bit and he let go. He could have taken me back under the ice, and he didn't. Or he could have taken me down for a couple of 100 feet to take me for a ride, and he didn't do that either, and that wouldn't have been very good because I was on a snorkel. So those two things didn't happen. And the miracle of the day for me was what did happen, which was the interaction with the mother seal. Why she beat the crap out of the male probably had something to do with defending her pup. Why she came back in the water, or came back to get me and push me through, I'm not certain of. But I know this, I'm no longer a skeptic. And it was a gift that keeps on giving. And we go back to the ice whenever ice conditions allow, and we follow the story of the harp seals, because now their greatest threat is no longer necessarily harp seal hunting, even though that does occur. But what happens first is literally the ice is melting from beneath them. So they have become the face of climate change for us. So I invite you to the harp seals. You must join us. It's magical.
Meet the Ocean is produced by Paul North and Andrew Gettings, with sound design by Kelsey Anderson and original music by Vin Gast, with special thanks to National Geographic photographer Jennifer Hayes for her seal story. Meet the Ocean is a listener-supported podcast and nonprofit. Visit our website to find more podcasts, underwater video, and other fun educational material at meettheocean.org. Also, you can support Meet the Ocean by joining its online Patreon community. For as little as $1 a month, you will gain access to rewards and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. To find out more, visit patreon.com/meettheocean. Don't forget to subscribe to never miss an episode, and please rate and review our podcast on iTunes or whatever platform you choose to listen. That way, more people can hear. We thank you for listening, and until next time, may the salt water be with you.